All right, Ben Parker of CardinalSports.com here with Stanford running backs coach Malcolm Agnew. So first of all, just kind of talk about going into this final week against Notre Dame. What are the key things you're kind of emphasizing with your unit to wrap up the season?
We want to finish strong. We want to finish with pride and play the game the right way. That's the biggest thing. We've often talked about, hey, this is not the end of our season, but an extension for us working to the off season to have something to build on. So that's the biggest thing we want to do is finish strong.
Cool. And just how do you feel the running game kind of went against Cal? Just kind of what were some strengths maybe saw from your guys, and what are some things you maybe wanted to see more out of them?
Yeah, we talk about it as a room of things we want to get better at, and that's something that's harped on consistently is those things, to be honest. So, there's a few different things we talked about. We wish we would have ran the ball better, obviously, but, that's the biggest thing we talked about is, okay, how can we be a difference-making group, and what can we do to become that way? So.
And I know Cedric Irvin is out. We'll be playing this week, and he's done for the season. But just kind of thoughts on what you did see from him this season, and just kind of what you hope to see from him next year.
Yeah, I think Cedric's going to be a good player for us in the future. He's decisive with the ball in his hands. He's a physical player. The thing I really like about him, too, is he's not afraid to hit somebody. He's got face toughness, which is a big deal, right? You talk about someone accelerating through contact and not decelerating when he's face-to-face with somebody. That's a big deal. So I think he'll be really good for us in the future.
And, as far as the running that Justin Lampton has brought, just thoughts on how that's kind of been a boost to the running game.
Anytime you can run the quarterback, you get +1 as far as the count goes. So if you got a guy that can do it and that runs as hard as Lambo, it's a big benefit. So he gave us a lift when we asked him to this year, and it was a big part of our deal. So Lambo runs hard, and Lambo has a good natural feel for some of our gap scheme stuff. So good player.
Do you work with him at all in any of that as running backs coach, or is he just working with the quarterbacks the entire time? How does that kind of work in practice?
Yeah, I think he'll watch on tape with Coach Taylor. I think they kind of talk through some of the stuff as far as the reads go and whatnot. And Lambo has a good natural feel. I haven't really said anything to Lambo. He may ask, hey, what'd you see in that play? And I'll be like, maybe this, but that's not me. That's all Lambo. So.
Yeah, and just kind of looking at Notre Dame, their defense, what's going to be kind of the key for your unit to be successful against the Irish?
Yeah, they're going to play hard. They're well coached. They do what they do, and we understand that. Those guys are going to come at you, and they're going to try to take it to you off the rip. And so for us, we got to make sure that we don't let those guys dictate the pace, try to dictate the pace ourselves. So that'll be kind of our deal.
Just how difficult has it been to kind of navigate the running game with Filkins out, and just talk about that aspect of things?
Yeah, the tough thing with Filkins being gone, Filkins was good at a little bit of everything as far as the run game, whether it was zone running games, maybe gap scheme stuff, getting him in some space. So, I wish the guy was able to stay healthy because he's a good player, and worked really hard this season to try to have a good season. So, it's unfortunate it did get hurt.
Just talk about your first big game experience. Obviously, it did not go the way you wanted it to, but just what was it like experiencing your first big game as an assistant coach at Stanford?
Yeah, I understand why people call it the big game. It was a fun atmosphere. People were really into it. It was loud at times in the stadium. It felt big time, which was cool. And so I see why it's called the big game and why people make it such a big deal around here. So it's a good rivalry, and I can't wait for it next year. And I'm glad that it's continued as we go to the ACC.
Yeah, and also too, as an Oregon State guy, just talk about how does it compare with the Civil War? Just kind of similarities, differences you've kind of seen between those two.
I'm biased because I played in the Civil War, and I played 1 year in the Civil War where both teams were in the top 15, and that was one of the best atmospheres I was ever a part of at Research Stadium. So I'm a little biased to Oregon State in that way, but I will say this: that was really cool, and some of the players were talking about how cool the rivalry was, and I told Casey, I was like, I get it and I understand it, so it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and just kind of on the you got another rivalry game with Notre Dame. Do you feel it helps the guys at all to kind of close this out with one more rivalry game at home, or not necessarily? Any thoughts on that? Yeah,
it's cool to play an opponent like Notre Dame, but for us, we always look at every game the same as far as how we attack it. Can we play our best, right, when our best is needed, right? Can we finish a game, and can we put everything together to get a win? So the main thing's still the main thing.
And the final question for you, just kind of talk about what you've seen from the offensive line, their growth, and how they've kind of been able to work with your unit.
Yeah, I think Al and V have done a really good job with those guys as far as their development as time has gone on. I mean, those guys have been thrown in and have had a lot of tough matchups against a lot of good teams this year, but those guys get better every single week. They don't complain, because the offensive line is often a thankless job. And so I think those guys have gotten better overall. Some young guys are in contributing, which is cool to see, like Klenko and Some of those other guys, Simi's been in there a lot. So Jake Michael has been playing. So it's been cool to see those guys get better game after game, right? And they're playing really good teams. So I'm proud of them.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Malcolm, and good luck this weekend against the Irish.
Thank you. I appreciate it.